All right, let's get some items built. So I have here what I ended up with after messing with all of our setup stuff. So you can watch the other video for that. I have also already created my textures for my two items that I'm going to add today. So I've gone through this file and I've deleted a bunch of stuff. In the previous video for this, I just commented most of that stuff out, or actually, I maybe left it even on. You can take a look at what's in here right now. I'm just scrolling kind of slowly, so you can pause the video and delete what you don't need. This is the like bare minimum that we need. So our first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna adjust the way that we're looking at our packages over here. So I'm gonna go up here into options. I'm going to go into appearance and I'm going to unclick compact middle packages. That's just going to make some folder structures more apparent for me. I'm going to need to create a couple nested folders later in this video. So I really want to make sure I start with that so everything looks the way it should. Then I'm going to go in here and into my example mod. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new package. So I'm going to go new package, and my package is going to be called item. And then in there, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new Java class. And my Java class, I'm just going to call this mod item. You might notice that I'm doing a lot of very similar things to some Cowpen Joe tutorials. I absolutely am. He's a really awesome YouTuber who has made a bunch of really great tutorial videos. I'm following along with some of this, to be honest. Like, this is not original stuff. I'm absolutely stealing a bit of that. So here I've got my mod item, and in this I'm going to need to write some stuff. So I'm going to need to make a public static, and I'm going to make this a final, and this is going to be our deferred register. So deferred register, and that's going to go ahead and do a little import there. And this deferred register wants to be made out of item, and we very specifically want the one from Net Minecraft World there. So that first one. If you get another one, it can act a little weird. And I'm going to call this items using capitalization because it's final, right? And then I'm going to make this out of a deferred register dot create, and this needs to be made using the Forge Registries items class, and we need to pass it our example mod's ID. So example mod dot mod ID. And this line gets kind of long. You'll see some people put an enter in here. That's totally fine. That's not going to hurt anything. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a public static final. And this is going to be a registry object. And our registry object here is going to be taking an item. And I'm going to call this one golden egg, and this is going to be, we're going to need to make an items dot register. Oops, silly Joe. That needs to be capital items dot register, and then we need to register a name for our item. So my item name is going to be, let's see, that's going to be golden egg. And then to this we need to pass a supplier. So our supplier is going to be a Lambda function. So that's going to look like kind of nothing. Gives us a new item, and we need some properties there, so we're going to make a new item properties in here. Okay, so that's making ourselves a golden egg registry object. And then we're going to need to make a very similar one for our other object, or for our other item that we're making. So my other item is going to be golden wheat seeds. And here we're going to call that golden wheat seeds. Okay. And then what we're going to need is we're going to need a way to actually go ahead and register stuff. So that's going to be a public static void method called register. And this is going to take an event bus. So we need an I event bus that it's going to take, and we're going to call that thing event bus. And then in here, we're going to do items dot register, and here's where we pass along our event bus. And what this is essentially doing is these guys are creating the ideas of our items, and then this is going to attach it to that. This is going to attach the items class, or sorry, the items deferred register to the event bus. And then in order to actually make this work, we're going to have to go in here. And right here, after we register this mod into the event bus, we're going to go ahead, and here we need to do mod items. Oh, crumb. I called the class mod item. That's a dumb name. Should be called mod items. And so this is going to be called mod items dot register. And now I need to pass it an event bus. And I have an event bus called mod event bus. So we'll pass that along. Okay, so what this line does is this adds the items from mod items to the game. Right. So that just says we're adding this event bus to our deferred register that we made in here, which basically causes all the things in it to get added to the game when that event bus triggers. So that's our kind of first item here. Now we're going to have to go down a ways, and we're going to go look for the the add creative event, or I can speak. We're going to go down here and we're going to look for the add creative method in our class. And here, what we're going to do is we're going to say, all right, if the event dot get tab key is equal to creative mode tabs dot, where do they belong? Let's see. I may have to fire up the game to figure this out. Crumb. Where do seeds go? Where do seeds go? I'm going to add them to ingredients for right now. I'm not totally sure that's right. We'll double check that. So here we're going to say if we're on the ingredients tab, basically, we're going to add these guys. So we're going to do event.accept, and then we're going to do mod items dot golden egg, and then we're going to copy this line. Copy, paste, and here we're going to add golden wheat seeds. Okay, so that's going to add those to our creative tabs. Okay, so our next thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to add some items to our assets, so to our resources folder. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to right-click the resources folder, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to say that I would like a new directory in there. And that directory needs to be called assets. And then in there, we need to create another new directory, and this directory is going to be called example mod. Because that's what my mod's name is. This example mod needs to match this example mod up here. So you need to match the mod ID that's in here, that's also in one of the Gradle files, needs to match this folder name. And then in there, we're going to need to create another directory, and this one's going to be called lang. Should be noted, if you missed the thing at the beginning of the video about compact middle packages, you're going to have something looking like this, and you're not going to be able to create this next folder. So you want to make sure that your structure looks like this instead of the other way. Because we need to click right here, we need to click new directory, and our directory here is going to need to be called models. And then we're going to need one more, on here, another directory, and this one's going to be called textures. And then in models and textures, we'll need new directories, and these are going to be called item. I know there's a lot of folder structure, but you only have to build it once. Okay, now what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to create several files in these. So these are going to be JSON files that basically indicate how my objects are going to, or how my items are going to work. So I'm going to go into lang because it's the easy one, and I'm going to do a new file, and my new file is going to be enus.json. And then I happen to have this kind of built over here. So I'm just going to grab this and copy and paste it because it's kind of a lot. So we need to do item.examplemod. This is going to be the name of our item. So for me, that's golden eggs and golden wheat seeds. And this one's going to need to be called golden egg. And these are just the human readable version of this. And you can go ahead and make another language file for German if you want to. Or you can make another language file for British English. And that way, depending on what the user has set their language to, that would cause different words to appear here. That's so you can kind of control translation and stuff. I'm just going to make the English one because I suspect that this mod is not going to get to be super popular. So I'm just making the default English US one. Typo in Word example mod. Yeah, of course there is. Okay, so this is my translation JSON. That's all it needs. I'm going to go ahead and hit Control S on that file. And then we're going to go into models, and we're going to create a new folder a new file in there. And these are going to have to share names with my item names. So my items are called golden egg. Whoops, crap. That needed to be called goldenegg.json. So let's see if we can go ahead and do that. We need to rename this to goldenegg.json. Okay, it's telling me I have a whole bunch of other things called golden egg. Okay, great. I'm just gonna ignore that. I don't want it to rename anything else. Oh. Okay, cool. So I screwed up. Let's do rename. We're gonna just do an unsafe rename to goldenegg.json. I just wanted to rename the one thing. Probably would have been safer, actually. Now that I think about it, would have been safer to delete that and just make it again. I'm here going to make golden wheat seeds .json. Okay, so I got my two files created. Now, in each of these, we need to have some brackets, and then we're going to need a field for parent. And this basically controls how the item looks when it's held in your hand when the character's in third person. So I'm going to go ahead and make these Minecraft colon item slash generated. So the two options here are essentially, I mean, there's several options, but the two common ones are generated and handheld. And the only difference between them is that a generated object, when viewed in third person, is going to be held like this, flat in your hand. And a handheld object is going to be held like this, parallel to your arm. So things that are handheld in Java are mostly the tools. Things that are generated with that sideways thing is basically everything else. Because I'm not really intending the golden egg to be a tool, and I'm not intending the golden wheat seeds to be a tool, I'm going to put them both with generated. But if you want to rotate something 90 degrees, you can just tell it that the parent is handheld instead. You just swap the word generated for handheld here. All right, and then let's see. I also need in there textures, and this is going to need a colon, and then it itself is going to be a little list here, and this is going to get a layer 0 texture, and I'm going to call here, we need to tell it where it can find its folder. So we're going to be an example mod item, and then I'm going to need here a, let's see, I'm in golden wheat seeds. So we're going to do golden wheat seeds. Oops, golden wheat seeds is going to be our file name. And then I'm going to need to put that file in here. So I happen to have those in my downloads folder here. So I'm just going to take my golden wheat seeds here. Oops, that's not named the right thing. Let's rename that. That's going to be golden wheat seeds.png. And then I'm just going to drag that in here and drop it into item, and we'll just save it. So I've got my golden wheat seeds item here. And then we're going to do that same thing for the golden egg PNG file that I already made. And we're going to drop that in. So I've got golden egg, golden wheat seeds. Okay, cool. Let's see. So back to our file. I've got this is all done. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it into goldenegg.json. And the only thing I'm going to change is this should point at golden egg. All right. So let's see if this is working. So we're going to go into example mod, and we're going to try to run our file. This looks positive. Seems like we might be getting somewhere. When it crashes, it usually crashes really fast. So I feel like maybe I'm doing good. Cool. I got a connection timed out, but it didn't seem to matter. Great. Okay, so let's see. Okay, all right. So let's see if our creative mode tab worked. So I put those things in ingredients. Ah, my textures aren't working. But my item, okay, my translations are working, but my textures aren't working. Dang it. Okay, cool. At least we've got the translations working. Oh, God, music is very loud. Let's shut the music off. Okay, now we need to go figure out what's wrong with our textures. So I'm gonna save and quit to title. I'm gonna close this, and I'm gonna take a second and figure out what's wrong with my textures. I figured it out. I'm dumb. So I wrote here example, and it's example mod, Joe. Like, come on, get with the program. So these both needed to say example mod. And then you want to make sure you hit Control S on these files. The JSONs they save automatically, but they save automatically when you run the thing, which means oftentimes that your like first try at running something will cause an issue. So, uh-oh. Okay. Maybe I screwed something else up. So I just hit run again. Doesn't seem to be a problem. Maybe Control S didn't. Maybe I didn't quite hit it, or maybe Control S doesn't save those files. I do have a Minecraft mod launcher running, so seems like we're working. I did have to press run twice to get the files to save. All right, so let's go back into our creative world here, and we should still have our items on our hotbar, so we'll know pretty immediately whether this worked. Hey, look, golden egg, and if I hit Q, I can see a golden egg on the ground. I think that texture looks all right. And golden wheat seeds there. Okay, those look pretty good. I think I'm actually pretty happy with that. It's pretty good. Oh, not what I wanted. Why, Joe? Why did you pick up Spruce Door, you fool? Let's see, yeah. Yeah, I think these look pretty good. It could be a little bit more contrast, probably. Did I get that color right? That's a golden pickaxe. Let's go grab some gold armor. Oh, that was real helpful. Okay, so armor, boots. Yeah, looks like I probably could have gone with a slightly wider range of colors to match the default gold items. Looks like darker outlines, and then looks like some slightly brighter pixels than I used. Okay. I mean, that's something we can change, right? But overall, I am pretty darn happy that I got my items imported. They're working in a creative mode tab, so they're at least accessible there. They're registered, like everything is cool with items. So I'm going to stop adding items right here, and I will see you guys on the next thing where we try to maybe add some recipes next. Thanks, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.